right. Well, welcome to the Loam Lander podcast. I think this is podcast number 15 or 16. Honestly, by the time we get this one edited and put up, it will probably be pretty far in the queue. Kevin obviously is not here. He's back at home in Washington. And I'm here with Chris and Ethan. They are PNW Ramps. We've talked about PNW Ramps several times in our podcasts. And I thought this would be an awesome opportunity to talk to them about their business and some of the ventures they've had. They're as new as we are. In fact, as we've talked in previous podcasts, the way that we kind of came together was one kind of big jump at the same time. And then we also have Cruz, and Cruz is making his inaugural appearance on the Loam Lander podcast. And I'm sure that Cruz will talk a lot because that's what he likes to do, right?
Yep.
So, well, to begin with, maybe we'll just talk first. Ethan, maybe introduce yourself, say who you are, how long you've been mountain biking, what your mountain biking experiences have been. Our audience knows that I tend to get you in weird situations quite often. In fact, we talked on one of our first podcasts about you bouncing across our lander the first time you did your jump on the big lander, and you came away from that unscathed. You also then had your collarbone injury, which was once again another fun adventure at our house. But maybe introduce yourself and say, I don't know, whatever you want to say.
Hi, my name's Ethan.
This is your microphone, so you don't have to necessarily look at the camera. That's the whole great thing about a podcast is we don't have to even look at it.
Pretend
like it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just having a conversation.
Hi, my name's Ethan. I'm the son of Chris, who is in charge of PNW Ramps. I've been mountain biking since March this year, and it's been a good experience this year of mountain biking up until all the crashes, obviously. Those are my least favorite parts, but it's still fun, and I'm planning to keep going after this injury is recovered.
Yeah, you got a pretty sweet bike too, right?
Yeah, I have an Evil.
It's an Following or Insurgent? I can't remember.
I think it's the Following.
I want to say it's the Following.
It's the Following 2019.
Wow, I put the ramp in the back.
Thanks, Ethan. That's cool. Through the joys of editing magic, as you can see, we've just been joined by one of the PNW Ramps itself. And Chris, who is the founder of PNW Ramps, why don't you kind of tell your version of how this whole thing started? I've said on podcast my version, which is basically we saw these at a bike shop. I actually saw them a long time ago. Chris is a very talented CNC artist. He's been a woodworker for a long time. I knew he had these tools in his garage, and I was hopeful that I could encourage some fun out of it from his expertise. So maybe share with us, my audience, our audience, why this happened, and if you're truly regretting every bit of it, or if it's been a fun adventure for you thus far.
All right. Well, yeah, pretty much what you said. I've been a woodworker since I was a teenager, and so I've just slowly evolved and incorporated a CNC machine into my shop, which is a computer-controlled router, basically. Mm-hmm. And I love designing stuff, coming up with new things, and figuring out cool things to make on my CNC. And you'd mentioned you had these ramps that you wanted to build several years ago, mm-hmm. and just never did anything because all I saw were the ramps you built, right, which were just the big plywood curved things. And so I thought, why would you need that? So I never really got into it. Mm-hmm. And then we went to the Urban Wheeler, right, and saw the ramps that you were talking about. And I'm like, wow, that actually would be really fun to design something like that. And mm-hmm. and so that took several weeks of designing in CAD and prototypes and making changes and coming up with things. And then finally, this is actually probably like version 1.8.
Right. Yeah, it took a long time, and you even started with a pretty good start to your design, mm-hmm. But put a lot of your own pieces together that made it better.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's no secret out there. There's lots of different manufacturers of these ramps. Although lots is pretty a very, I don't know, it's not the correct term. There's probably 5 or 6 manufacturers in the whole world that are mm-hmm. doing this. So they're all very similar in that they're a piece by piece setup where you can break it down to very, very small, compact setup, but then put it together and have a nice size ramp. So this one is what's the height of this ramp when you have it completely, put together and at its tallest point?
Tallest point, I believe, is 15 inches?
15 inches.
So it doesn't seem like a lot unless you're a new mountain biker. And honestly, I've only gone off of it since we've been here.
Right, just
this
once,
is my
right?
first time.
Oh, that's good. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but we did have some fun while we're here in Maine. So just so you know, we're here in Maine at a family spot that Chris's family's been going to, and my wife Tatum's family's been going to, their brother and sister, for a long, long time. And so we felt like, A, this is a great opportunity for us to sit down and chat, but then second, what a good, fun opportunity to take our bike and ramp off of a dock or two. So it's been super cool. But it's been nice to see that Chris finally got on his own product. He's not a mountain biker, and he's been kind of thrown into this world full bore. So what are some of the things that you've made on these ramps that are unique to your design that make it better, make it easier to work, easier to use? What are some of your ingenuity pieces that have just really kind of changed it?
Well, some of the stuff in the original design that I looked at had hardware, had a lot of metal pieces, screws, bolts, all sorts of stuff, hinges. And it was a neat idea because it kept it all together, but it made it a lot more complicated. And actually, it was weaker. It wasn't as strong of a design. And so I slowly started playing around with, okay, what can I do to take those things out of it? And kind of was playing around, and all of a sudden, just in the middle of the night, I woke up, I was like, wait a second. Why can't I just make slots for things to pop into? Oh. And at this point, I know there's another company out there that we've had several people say, oh, looks just like this company's. And honestly, I had never even seen their product at that point.
Right.
And so I came up with this. The next morning, I jumped up and I was messing around in AutoCAD and coming up with these new things and cutting a few test pieces, and it was working awesome. And so it just kind of went from there. So started adding in these little keyways where things pop in together, so it held it together more rigidly. And then, the shock cord that was kind of holding, because this thing folds up like a briefcase, basically.
Right.
The two shock cords that were on there, thought, wait a second, why can't I use those to really hold things together? So then I started tying them into the legs and the support brackets underneath. And it just kind of went from there. And I stretched things out a little bit more, made things a little taller in a couple of places. And so it was just a really good starting point. But once we got that basic design down, then it was just finding, okay, maybe make these little slots just a tiny bit bigger. But I didn't want things sloppy. I wanted them to really fit together tight. And so I know when they're new, they do kind of fit together tight, but after you've put them together 5 or 6 times and jumped on them and everything else, everything just fits and comes apart perfect. And
yeah, I can tell you from our experiences, we were able to enjoy the first or second set.
Yeah.
And that evolution, which was good at the beginning, to what we have right now, or what you have right now, is awesome. We have seen some pretty crazy stuff off these little ramps.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get bigger and better. I know you have a really nice relationship with Fluid Ride now. There's some other companies that you're starting to get some inroads with. But as those different riders continue to progress on these ramps, it's just amazing the change that can occur. It's really cool.
Oh, it absolutely is. Seeing a new bike rider like Ethan going off of it, and it was cool. And then seeing Cruz go off this thing, and holy cow,
right.
How high can you get off of a 15-inch ramp?
Right.
And what was it, 30-something inches is what we were getting over on the little hop meter we made. And, and so, it's absolutely, from beginner to expert riders. And then at your Loam Lander launch party, oh my gosh, the guys that were going off that and then going off of your giant, onto your giant lander.
It's just crazy. And it's crazy how compact this is. You can bring it anywhere you want. You can set it up anywhere, play with it anywhere. And yet that whole process of takedown, setup, throw in the back of any size car makes it very versatile, very easy to just enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's what's unique to this style of ramp, is that the enjoyment level is just amazing. Price-wise, these aren't necessarily, you're not going to go out to Home Depot and find them everywhere. They're a very custom, unique product, but they're not terribly expensive for the amount of work and amount of effort, the amount of material you have going into them.
Yeah.
Also, just the pure availability of being able to break it down, not having your driveway constantly is extremely valuable all in the Loam.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your product line. What else do you guys have? You guys have these ramps that are in production and they're for sale on your website already. You have the hop meter, and those are in production, and those are for sale right now. Do you have anything else that's ready and available for your customer to get today?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. And the biggest problem with that has been availability of supplies.
Right. Which is everywhere. All
Yep.
of us are experiencing that.
Yep. For everything. I mean, not just in the biking industry, but construction and electrical. I mean, everything is just in short supply right now.
Right. And this isn't standard, dimensional style lumber material, right?
No, this is Baltic birch plywood, which
Right.
is much more. I mean, you can see the little lines here, and yeah, the layers are much finer and tighter, and there's not the voids you get in, like, if you go to Home Depot and just buy a sheet of plywood and try cutting that up, you'll see there's all sorts of gaps and everything, and it's just not that strong. It's also not dimensionally stable, so
Right.
it will change thicknesses with the weather and everything else.
Huh. Now, this doesn't have that same effect, though, because of
Not
the way
as
the layers
bad,
are.
no.
Right.
No, because each layer, and plus they cross layer them, and it just, the glue and everything they put in them, these are a much more expensive product.
Nice.
I mean, a sheet of this stuff is about 3 times the price of just a regular sheet of plywood.
Stick the parts into these holes right there.
When it showed up.
Yeah, because they were a bit too big to fit in the holes.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be by design, right?
Yeah.
You can't
part of
expect
it.
it to, you want to have that tightness from the beginning so that you have some opportunity for it.
Well, no, we had to use a mallet
to get this one together.
Because I think of the humidity. So the thing, this is an older version,
Yeah.
a newer version. The slots are just a tiny bit bigger.
Right.
And I think that would
That
I
would
mean,
make a
it
big
still
difference.
might be a little tight, but we should have taken it apart after it fell in the lake and put it back together. See.
All right. See what it did.
Yeah.
Right.
What about a smaller ramp?
A smaller ramp. This
There
can.
was like a smaller.
Right.
Oh, that's true. I
about
forgot about
Yeah.
the half ramp.
I mean, that's not really much.
No, it is. That can be a big piece, especially. I know that there was a family that bought the Glover family, or Glover, can't remember. Anyways, they bought one from you guys recently that they were saving for a birthday. And for them, I had been messaging and talking to them for a long time about it. They were really excited about that smaller ramp because they have a 2.5 or 3-year-old that they wanted to have something they progress with. And so with this ramp, we're just talking offline a little bit that this particular ramp can also be broken down into a smaller version of it.
Yep.
With all the system components that are sitting right there. It's not too difficult.
And it's only about 6 inches, I think, at the highest point.
So that's fully easy for a little 6-year-old to play on, or 2-year-old. It's amazing how young these kids are getting in as they're riding.
It's
especially
nuts
those
watching
riders.
them. I love seeing the video of it.
It's just crazy, right? It's crazy. Well, that's exciting, and I know you have a lot of good stuff coming up. In fact, we're working on a co-project. We hope that works well to pair a future PNW ramp with our Loam Lander sessions, which is our 4-foot lander. We did use a prototype of that at our launch party, which was pretty awesome. Unfortunately, that was the ramp that Ethan went off of onto the 4-foot lander that caused his collarbone to not be in the spot that it was supposed to be in. And here we are 2 months into recovery, right?
Yeah.
And you're almost recovered. So how's that been? How's your recovery been?
It's been good. I mean, it's been hard not being able to move it at all.
Yep.
And just having to make sure I can't lift anything, make sure I don't move it in a weird way, so I'll be able to get back on the bike as soon as possible.
Yep. Well, what's cool about collarbone injuries, but it's kind of that calling card for mountain bikers. You're a true mountain biker now. Cruz is not. I'm not, and we hope not to be in that true mountain biker category anytime soon. But that's a pretty good tell.
It gives you a pretty cool scar, too.
It does. It definitely. I don't know. You're in the cool group. Okay, Cruz.
What?
We're here in Maine.
Uh-huh.
We had an idea before we came to Maine to ship in a PNW ramp. What did you invest in?
A Walmart bike.
A Walmart bike. And it's actually a pretty decent Walmart bike, right?
Yeah, I guess.
For Walmart bikes, it's a pretty good Walmart
For
bike.
the price,
Right.
yeah.
Not bad at all. So Cruz bought a Mongoose BMX. We're going to leave here in Maine, and we've had a couple fun days. We've also had some not so great weather over the past few days. So hopefully today, tomorrow, we can get out and ride it a bit more. I've got to get some more footage to make a really good video, and I think I've got a good start, but we need some more. But tell me about the first time you jumped off the PNW ramp into the lake.
It was fun.
That's it.
I don't.
What was it? Were you expecting it to be easy, or were you expecting it to be hard?
I was expecting it to be. I don't know.
Tell me about that first night when you heard everyone went off the ramp except for you. What'd you feel like?
Sad.
Sad, because we saw the videos of everyone going, but
And who was the first one that went off of it?
I don't know.
Chris was. Uncle Chris was the first one to go off the ramp, which was a bit surprising, I think, to us all. Even I'm sure that Janet, his wife, was surprised.
Well, it was pouring rain too.
Right. We might as well. If you're going to go for it, you already have been in the lake. And it honestly, that didn't hurt to go in. It was very, very nice floater. Very
soft landing.
Right. It worked really well. And I was surprised that the bikes didn't get in the way. And, there's all these things, questions you have before you do something. And like I talked about earlier, I tend to help promote not the safest things, especially when Ethan's around. And so I was nervous that this would be another one of those examples where something crazy happened. And knock on wood, luckily it hasn't. It's been pretty good. So we have a lot more fun to be had with the ramp while we're here. I appreciate these guys coming on the podcast with me. Anything else you want to add? Anything you want to share? Maybe share your website, share anything else that we can get to our market and our sphere of influence that can help you guys sell more ramps, because they're really, really awesome. And they're really good.
Like it says, PNWRamps.com. I've had quite a bit of help with the website. If you see anything you need, improved, let me know.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool, and we're adding more videos, and we're working on a bunch of cool stuff from the footage we've got this week or last week.
Mm-hmm.
And get on there. There's some stuff available right now. Again, shortages are affecting everybody.
Right.
So it's just getting the materials right now is the challenging part for everyone.
It is.
Especially on this side of the pond. Because the guys over in the Europe side of things where this kind of started, that's where the plywood actually comes from.
Oh, so they have a better supply.
They have a much better supply of it. So hopefully that will be changing soon. My supplier says it's looking a little bit better. But,
Nice.
But the prices did go up considerably on the plywood. So we're trying to keep our prices down for now.
Right. See where it goes from there.
Yeah.
Well, and this is a side venture for you. This is not your everyday thing. And, a lot of the side ventures are side ventures.
Yeah,
and
but I want to make it a main venture.
That's right. And it absolutely can be. This is what's so fun. And we have been a big proponent of this excitement. This is, to me, is exciting. I really like where you've gone, where it's come from. And honestly, it's taken some talents and skills that I don't have at all. And it's turned out just really, really cool. Yeah. So with that, appreciate your time. And on those notes, Loam Lander, we're out.